And the Grammy goes to...
The Grammy's Best New Artist is a monumental award. It's supposed to be given out to the musician who is in the middle of the biggest breakout in the industry.
But that's not always the case.
In fact, in retrospect, it's hardly ever given to the actual Best New Artist from that year, especially when you look at who's nominated but didn't win the award. And not only that, but there's a wide-ranging belief that the award is cursed, with the group Starland Vocal Band saying the award was basically the kiss of death, and they feel sorry for anyone who's gotten it since. And after looking at all the Best New Artist winners since 2010, there's a strong case that if you were an artist rising in the industry, you would not want this award.
From Drake to Frank Ocean, let's look at all the Best New Artists through the 2010s.
And the Grammy goes to...
In 2010, the award was given to the Zac Brown Band. At the time, they were huge, after just releasing their hit song Chicken Fried, but since then, they've had a significant decrease in attention. But what is even more surprising is who they beat out. MGMT. They dominated with smash hits like Electric Feel, Kids, and Time to Pretend. They were impossible to escape during this time, with several comments disappointed in the snub. However, like the Zac Brown Band, MGMT's success has been hit or miss since this moment.
Despite all this isn't even half as controversial as what happened the next year.
In 2011, the award was given to jazz musician Esperanza Spalding. Her career has been far from a failure since this award, but outside of her jazz niche, she hasn't seen the mainstream success you'd expect from a Best New Artist. But what is so egregious is who she won over. Esperanza managed to beat out mega folk group Mumford & Sons, indie rock superstar Florence and the Machine, the biggest artist in the world, Drake, and one of the quickest rising superstars, Justin Bieber. Regardless of what you think of Drake or Justin Bieber, they both rose quicker than any artist has ever rose in the industry.
Even Esperanza was surprised by even the nomination, with quoted saying, "We never thought I would win, but it seemed like a great excuse to go to the Grammys."
And Drake is still bitter about it, even referencing Esperanza in a recent song, quoted saying, "4 Grammys to my name, 100 nominations, Esperanza Spalding was getting all the praises." This still goes down as one of the biggest upsets in Grammys history, and the next year was just as controversial. In 2012, Bon Iver came home with the Grammy. Now, I'm a big Bon Iver fan, but he beat out J. Cole, Nicki Minaj, and Skrillex, who at the time was popularizing the dubstep style, which was everywhere all over the world.
At this point, it might be more beneficial for your career to get nominated, but don't win.
Because all three of these artists saw crazy numbers during the mid-2010s, with a comment even saying Nicki had the biggest crowd reaction she definitely deserved,
and leaving a lot of Grammy viewers wondering who Bon Iver even is.
Bon Iver has had a successful career, and the award for Best New Artist was completely deserved. So it's unfortunate for him that he had to be nominated with some powerhouse artists.
But even when the Grammys get it right, the curse still does its job, as we see in the very next year.
In 2013, the group Fun won. They were everywhere, spearheaded by their smash hit, We Are Young, a music video sitting at over 1 billion plays on YouTube. They beat out huge folk band The Lumineers, rock band Alabama Shakes, and the one and only Frank Ocean, who had just dropped Channel Orange the year prior. As much as I love Frank, it would be hard for anyone to choose anyone but Fun at this time. If you were old enough to remember it, this song was played absolutely everywhere.
Why was this a mistake in retrospect? Well, Fun didn't make a single song after this win.
Even though they're technically not broken up, they all went on to pursue solo work, with their last album being Some Nights in 2012. Who knows what could have been, but at least Frank Ocean didn't get the curse. In 2014, maybe the most controversial winner at the time of it happening was when rapper-producer duo Macklemore and Ryan Lewis won Best New Artist. Although Macklemore, who does his own solo work now, didn't have the complete fall-off as some of other artists in terms of streaming, however, his fall-off from relevancy among hip-hop culture is unprecedented, and him beating out one of the greatest rappers of our generation, Kendrick Lamar, and Ed Sheeran, who continuously sells out arenas, makes this look terribly dated in retrospect. With a comment saying, "I'll never forget this day on Twitter when Macklemore won," and Kendrick Lamar went on to win 13 Grammys and a Pulitzer Prize in the following 5 years. And this especially looks bad considering Macklemore's peak as a rapper was in 2013-2014 when he got this award. In 2015, the award was given to Sam Smith, and I think this is arguably the first year that the artist is still the biggest artist among all those nominated, beating out Iggy Azalea, Bastille, and Haim. Not a terrible year, but it gets worse. 2016 is continuously talked about was one of the best years in music ever, and the Best New Artist that year did not live up to it. Meghan Trainor won the award for dominating radio, and her fall from industry mainstay has been well documented, with someone even commenting, "This is the highlight of the Best New Artist curse." And she beat out artists such as Courtney Barnett, James Bay, and Tori Kelly. Although all these artists are still relevant, their impact on the music world is not substantial. But the Grammys quickly went back into their old ways of controversy the next year. In 2017, the award was famously given to Chance the Rapper after releasing Coloring Book. But since this day, Chance hasn't seen nearly the success he had during this era, having one of the hardest fall-offs in hip-hop history. And he beat out massive producer duo The Chainsmokers and multi-instrumentalist Anderson .Paak. The award was deservedly given to Chance at the time, and he could bounce back, and I hope he does. But the moment he got this award, his career has seen a monumental downward shift. In 2018, we saw the award handed to Alicia Cara. She was just coming off some massively successful songs. She was breaking records, and it was undeniable at the time that she was the future radio mainstay. But after the award, her career has somewhat plateaued, seeing a downward trend in her sales. Although she's still producing numbers that most artists dream of, so far her career has undoubtedly peaked during this year. As for who she beat, Khalid, a massive R&B artist, SZA, who has become one of the biggest artists in the industry, and Lil Uzi Vert, one of the biggest rappers in the world. Dua Lipa went home with the Best New Artist award in 2019, and now she's undeniably one of the biggest pop stars in the world. But it didn't come without beating some big stars. Her, Georgia Smith, and country star Luke Combs. Regardless though, only 5 years later, it's easy to see is this a hit for the award, one they desperately needed at the time.
That's 10 years of Best New Artists. We saw a few artists who have been cursed, but in reality, their streams just went from 50 million to 30 million. That being said, it is crazy seeing in retrospect some of the artists that lost, especially where they are now. Let's do this again in 10 years.